Starting off at a parking on the highway here, and you might be thinking, Peter, what's that all about? Well, it's more what's behind me. You can see it's a Fastnet fast charger, and that is something you will not be visiting with this Nissan Qashqai. My name is Peter, this is an Automotive Fuel video, and this Nissan Qashqai is the e-Power version. And that is not to be confused with a full EV, because this has a motor generator setup where the engine is not connected to the wheels, but charges the battery. So you get the EV driving experience without ever having to visit one of these. Instead, you'll be going right over there to the Shell and get normal petrol at the pump. And here it is, this Nissan Qashqai. I think it's a nice looking vehicle. I'm not really sure if it fits in the Nissan family lineup, but you know, all round, it's not a bad looking car. And this sort of greenish, bluish, I don't know how well you can see that on camera. It's a good looking vehicle with a good size as well. No penalty on the outside really in terms of not being able to park it anywhere, but still a lot of space on the inside, as we'll see in a bit. And that continues here, we got the e-Power badge by the way, that continues here in the boot, electric of course, with a nice practical boot size, nice and square, also with no load lip at all. An underappreciated feature actually, no load lip. And there's a lot of space under the floor actually. You can split this up and there's a whole extra dimension of space. Not really sure if it's big enough for your full ski holiday, but easily enough for all your family needs year round. And that is going to be a theme for this review. It's a very easy car to live with. The ease of not having to charge, the ease of having a lot of space on the inside, the ease of use in the cockpit, as we'll see in a bit. It's a very usable, user-friendly vehicle that makes your life easier. And that is something I quite like. So let's have a look inside and let's do a bit of driving. Before I show you around, I have to of course tell you that this is the Tecna Plus version. So this is the top of the line with all the toys in it. So we got Alcantara on the door, Alcantara on the dash, we got a head-up display, panoramic roof, leather seats, you name it, this car has it. So not everything you see here is available on all trim levels. But of course in this press demo car they have pulled out all the stops, and it is a very nice place to be because of that, I have to say. Obviously it costs more money, but all these toys and all the extras like the Alcantara and the seats, they do make life more pleasant and make the car more enjoyable. So it is definitely worth, with any car, not specific to this one, to go through the trim levels when you go to a dealer, sit in the different ones and sort of feel your way around and see if it is worth the money for you. Top tip. This cockpit in particular, we're going to start here on the left with a simple traditional operation of your windows and your mirrors and locking your doors in a position that is right at your fingertips, and we'll see that further down the cabin as well. My own X-Bank, for example, has the same controls, but it's sort of further down the armrest, and it's a bit of a stretch. You have to move your hand and your whole arm to get to the buttons. Here it is right at your fingertips. Same with the door handle, same with the buttons for the seat memory. It's all right there. I barely have to move my arm and I just have to flick my wrist around a little bit. And that's really nice. You can tell that somebody thought about the positioning of these buttons, and it's really nice. It shows. Simple metal door handle, I think it sounds metal at least. Seat memory buttons here, like I said. And then we get to the simple round steering wheel. It is possible, people. Slightly flat bottom to make it easier to get in and out, that's fine. Nice feel, nice pleasant place to grab control of your car. There's buttons, of course, on the right for your cruise control and your driving, and on the left for your systems, your volume and your media. Flanked by two stalks, no flippers or anything in between. Right for your wipers, left for your lights and your indicators, of course. Nice and simple, almost a traditional setup, I would say. And through the steering wheel I can see my driver's display. Now the display is relatively big and square, so that's nice, plenty of information there to see. But there is quite a lot of actions you can do to set up the car that are in the driver's display that I think belong in the central infotainment system. So for example, if I want to turn off my driving aids, I have to go through the menus. I have to go to settings, and then I have to start scrolling to my driving assist and clicking, and it's a bit of a process to get through all those things, reminiscent of the way Toyota used to do it until they updated to the current system, where you just have to do so many clicks and swipes and rolls before you get to where you need to be, which is not really the best way to do it. I mean, it is pleasant that it's a tactile thing and you can do it while driving and you don't have to start swiping, but those settings should be in the central display. Above the driver's display, there is a head-up display in this version, which is nice and big, nice and bright, so that's very pleasant to work with. But the issue that I have is that I have the feeling that it's not lined up properly with me. If I look at the speed, for example, it is all the way on the very right edge of the head-up display. And when I'm sitting and driving, sometimes it falls off the display. And obviously I don't want to sit like this. I want to sit in a straight line, and I have the feeling, like if I take a straight line from the Nissan logo to my chest, that it's on the left side of my body. So I have the feeling that I'm not lined up properly with the steering column and with the head-up display in particular. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. And then there's nothing really I can do. You know, obviously I can't move my seat sideways or turn my seat or anything. So I'm not really sure what that is all about. Then we get to the central display that I already mentioned. Deep Google integration. We have Google Maps, we have Google Assistant, and if I go to apps, there is YouTube, there is the Play Store, there's Amazon Alexa even. So there's a lot of things you can do on this screen, plenty of connectivity. All around, it's a fine screen to work with. It's a bit of a combination between Mazda and BMW somehow, you know, having a screen like this onto the dashboards. But it's not, you know, one of those huge iMacs that you might not like. So I think it's a decent compromise. It works fine, and obviously you can put part of the information, like your maps, for example, on your driver's display as well. Underneath, a slab of piano black, which is the only real spot where it is in this car, so that's good. But it is annoying because as soon as the sun shines on it, you see all the dust and skin flakes and everything that lays on there permanently, and it can reflect the sun back in your eye if it comes from a funny angle. We have a panoramic roof. So that's not the best place to put it, and I also don't understand because they use different materials down here, for example. But we do have a physical volume button, a physical button for the cameras for low speed, skip and play button, and a dedicated button to put it in night mode and back to day mode. So that's really cool and actually quite nice. I appreciate a button like that when you just want to switch it around. That's really nice. Good choice, and that should be done by more manufacturers. The dashboard itself has Alcantara in this version, like I already showed you. Same here on the door and on the middle console. Very nice to upgrade to this specific spec. And it's a nice clean dash, clean lines, simple lines, nothing too complicated, which I can certainly appreciate. Ventilation is done manually, yes, with a slider and even a wheel here to open and close the vent itself. The Klima unit is all buttons and dials as well, so we have a little screen in the middle to see what you're doing, dials to change the temperature, to sync it, turn the AC on and off. We have some buttons for the seats, for the window heating and the airspeed. So that is a nice, simple and complete layout that is within reach right away. And because you have the little screen, you can always see what you're doing. And all the buttons are tactile. Excellent. That is how we want it. One floor further down, we have the center console. Here we have a wireless charging pad. I'll take my phone off. We have the start-stop button and the 12-volt socket. So that is nice. Here, no piano black, excellent, but some kind of, it's some kind of hard plastic material. It's also down here on the dash, and it looks like scales. Don't really know why that is there, but you know, it is better than piano black, so that is great. In the middle, we have the gear selector, so normal P, R, N, and D with the button for the P, and another button here on the side that you have to press in order to put it in reverse, for safety, of course. Driving modes here, sport, comfort and eco, and that is all your settings that you have for the drivetrain. But there's more buttons available, and I mentioned earlier that the buttons here are at your fingertips. It's the same with these buttons. It's right at my fingertips when my elbow is in a natural position on the center armrest. So again, you can see that somebody tried this out and thought about this, because these are the buttons that you use every single time that you're in the car. So that's great, very well done, I can appreciate that. The buttons are an EV button if you want to dedicate the powertrain to only stick in EV for a while, for example when you're parking or in your garage or when you're at home in your neighborhood. There's an E-pedal button to turn that on. There's the auto park button, also great, and the auto hold and parking brake buttons. So that is right there at your fingertips where you will always find them. We got two cup holders and we have a two-stage center armrest. First stage is with a little shelf in here in the middle for things you might use often. And then a second stage is all the way open, 2 USBs down there, and quite a lot of storage space. So that's excellent. There's also an actual glove box here, even more excellent. So that's great. Obviously this top of the line version, seats are very nice, heated, steering wheel is heated too, by the way, and the front window is heated. And these are very comfortable, massage function, 19-way adjustable, everything that you want from nice car seats. You have of course seen the panoramic roof as well, a must-have in a car with an interior as dark as this one. Really bathes the interior in a lot of extra light, and this is really an option that you do want if you go for a dark interior spec, especially for the people in the rear. So all around, I'm pretty happy here. It's a pleasant cabin to be. It's an easy cabin to get familiar with. Everything is sort of doing what you think it will be doing, apart from the menu that is not ideal on the driver's display. That takes a bit of getting used to and finding where the things are that you need. But overall, pleasant place to be and a nice cabin. Then obviously a little bit of driving in this Nissan Qashqai, and we catch ourselves on the highway in a bit of start-stop traffic, which is actually an interesting place to start because of the powertrain. So with the engine not being connected to the wheels, and this basically driving like an EV, you have the option to switch between modes. So I have an EV button down here if you want to lock it into EV mode. And since we have about 75% of battery capacity, if I put it in EV, then it stays in EV most of the time until the battery gets to a certain low point, and then the engine kicks in anyway. So sitting here in traffic, like I said, start stop a bit here, the car basically behaves like a full EV, which is nice. And it's also sort of the point of this whole powertrain, is that you have the EV experience without any of the EV downsides like range anxiety or charging. And I have to say, most of the time that works really well. It is a very pleasant way to move around, and it's also quite nice to never have to think about charging or range or any of those things. I drive an EV myself, so charging is definitely part of the experience. And with this, you just fill it up with petrol and off you go. So that's good. It does take a bit of getting used to that the engine note and performance is not related to what you're doing necessarily. I mean, obviously when you floor it, the engine kicks in to make sure that the battery that gets stressed and taxed more heavily at that point doesn't drain too fast. So it will actually spool up a bit more than usual. But when you're cruising on the highway, every once in a while the engine comes on and it sort of runs stationary almost, I think, because I don't have an RPM counter or anything. And then it just continuously charges the battery because it has a very predictable output and therefore input necessity as well. So sometimes that doesn't really correspond with what you're doing. Also, when you're driving in EV mode like now, at some point the battery will be at a level that the engine says, oh, I need to charge it again, and then just kick in for apparently no reason, because even when you have like 30% battery left, you're like, why do we need to start charging right now? But that is just the way the system thinks the charging is necessary. So that takes a bit of getting used to here and there, but I have to say I've driven this car for a week now, and after 3 or 4 days you never really think about it anymore, and you just drive along as you normally would. I jumped in the back seat because obviously this size and category vehicle is perfect for kids and families. So you have to have some space back here, and with 1.83 meters and about 100 kilos, I fit back here without any issues. There's enough room to the seat in front of me, about 2 fingers of space still left. And even if I would be touching the seats, which is in my driving position, this back of the seats is soft, so that is not an issue. I also have a lot of room for my feet in the footwells. I can put my feet under the seat in front of me relatively easily, so that really gives me a sense of space and fitting back here, which is quite nice. This top-of-the-line version has the same materials as in the front here in the back. So we have the same material on the seats, we have Alcantara on the seats, Alcantara on the doors. So that's all around very nice and pleasant. But there are some things missing. For example, temperature control for the airflow is not here. There's no heated seats, for example, either. So it's not all luxury back here. But all around, the materials and the things that they used are nice. We do have 2 USBs to charge your children. We do have some seat pockets, and we do have a door bin that fits 1 bottle and nothing else, quite small. but it's something, I suppose. And we have all this extra light from the panoramic roof. You can see that it is basically till where my forehead starts. So it's not all the way back here, but only till here. But it does give you so much extra light and sense of space back here. It's really, really nice, because with this dark interior, this is a must, despite the fact that the rear windows are not small at all. So I think that is definitely something you need to have if you go for the dark interior. I also have an excellent connection to the front. There's a lot of space between the seats that are not massive or very high, so that's very well done. Very important for children back here that they don't feel tucked away from the action, but that are involved, and there's a good connection to the passengers in the front. It's really important if you're driving with your kids. And it's well done. It's well engineered. You can see the screen in the middle really well. You can see what's going on, also due to the low center console. It really gives you a sense of space and belonging back here, and that connection to the front makes it a pleasant way of interacting with the other people in the car. So that's great. What's not so great is the armrest that has the very cheap non-adjustable cup holders in it. But yeah, I suppose you can expect that at this price point, and if things like, you know, temperature control for the ventilation are missing, this is almost a given. No pass-through loading, but it is a full seat. You can see with the headrest. I can sit here quite easily, but I'm a little bit higher, and you can see that I'm touching the roof now with my head. Not an issue for children, and also the transmission tunnel is about this high, so very workable. All around, it's a good place to be back here, as for kids, but also for adults. If you have to drive your parents to the airport or something, no problem. You can transport people here with ease, also for longer distances. You can make a convincing case that this is for people who are anxious about the range of an EV, people that are unable to buy a full EV because they're still expensive, right? And people that don't want or are unable to charge in and around their house. And I think, you know, if you put those things next to each other, you're like, yeah, obviously it makes sense then that you come to this kind of powertrain where you have the benefits of just filling up with petrol that you can do in any country, anywhere, and you can just drive like an EV. And if you go through an environmental zone, for example, you press that EV button and you're emission free and all is well. I have to say that that argument falls short a little bit here in the Netherlands, where the charging infrastructure is so good and so widespread that the ability to charge at home, you might not have a charger on your driveway if you live in an apartment complex, for example, but there's so much charging around that it's not really an issue at all. And also modern EVs are good enough that even, you know, the very cheap ones have, let's say, 300 kilometers of range. And if you go, you know, a price category up that this car falls into, you can get 400 or 500 reliable kilometers if you want to. So those arguments fall short a little bit maybe here in the Netherlands, but I do think this car and this powertrain still has a place in the spectrum, that it gives you another choice, which is always good to have more choice. And it's maybe a good transition vehicle too for people that are, you know, sort of in between full EV and combustion. All around, I have to say it works. It's nice, it's pleasant, it's quiet in here. It is an all-round, agreeable driving experience with this car. The powertrain itself is one thing. Also, the size of the vehicle I think is very nice. You've heard me say it in multiple review videos of cars this size. It's a good sweet spot between usable space on the inside without punishment on the outside for size. So it fits in my parking garage, no problem. Underground structures, parking at the supermarket, all those things. It's just nice. It's a good size vehicle for that. There's plenty of space in the back for adults. My kids are 12 and 9, no issues there. And I think once you start working with child seats, of course, it gets a bit more cramped. But it is also no problem here. So it's an excellent family proposition, I think, in terms of what the vehicle package offers. And then up here, I have in this top version, obviously I have all the luxuries that I could ever want. I have analog control elements with real buttons to press and real knobs to turn. So it's all around, it's very nice. And there's not that much to complain at all in this Nissan Qashqai. Obviously, you want to know how much all this Nissan Qashqai goodness is going to cost you, and luckily Nissan provided me with the price list for the Netherlands. There's two versions, the mild hybrid 158 Xtronic that has a starting price of 41,830 euros here in the Netherlands. Then there's 5 versions, the most expensive being the Tecna Plus for 49,880 euro. The one we're in is the e-Power version, also starting with the Ascenta version at 39,880 euro. 5 versions as well. The most expensive one is the Tecna Plus, once again for 47,930 euros. Then there's a few options. Metallic paint, 900 euro. Pearl paint, also 900. The two-tone paint option is 600 euro. The panoramic roof is between 633 and 806 euro, depending on which version you have. The cold pack, which is a must-have, I think, with a heated front window, heated steering wheel and heated seats, will set you back 600 euro. And the electric tailgate with foot sensor will cost you 850 euro if you buy that as a separate option. So that's the Nissan Qashqai for you. If you put it against competitors, maybe like a RAV4, Leap Motors has a similar powertrain setup. So, you know, there's a lot to choose in this space and also for this budget. And even in the lineup itself, there is quite a price swing you can make within the model, sort of pick and choose what you might need in terms of equipment. And there's also the normal hybrid available as well. So, you know, there is something there for everyone, I guess. And all around, it's been a pleasant experience this week. It's there's not much to complain. I mean, you can always start going low down in the cabin, talking about scratchy plastics. But I think all around, it's a good proposition. It's a nice, well put together car. If you like the Nissan brand philosophy and the Nissan brand image, then yeah, this is certainly a good car to consider in this price category. And that is all I have for you in this video. Let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about this powertrain. It's interesting for me to read, and I think it's a trend in the car industry that more manufacturers will embrace this kind of setup as an alternative to the full EVs. Let me know how you guys feel about it. For now, thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked the video. And of course, a sub to the channel is always appreciated. And I'll catch you guys again in the next one. Cheers!